conference was a little different, like what they were saying. It was more about the history of the organization, and I actually was in those classes, and I had tears in my eyes. This is a serious thing that we're facing, and especially in the political environment we're in right now. So we all need to get involved and help each other. So that's all I'm going to say. Oh, also, did you guys see me in Sheila's video?
Oh yeah, wait, before Stephen gets done. So while we were there, Zarika was my roommate, and we decided to do a video, and then I think we were supposed to do a professional. It turned into a dance video. We realized the lighting wasn't right, so we took the lamp off of the dresser, and we took the shade off, hooked it onto the ironing board. That was our stage light. And so if you haven't seen it, go to Zarika's Facebook page. We hitting about 2.6K in likes or in views. So it was fun, but we had a great time. But I'll turn over to you, Stephen. I'm done.
All right, Madam President, thank you very much. I've been given the task to introduce our speaker of the day, and you know that you're a part of a larger entity other than just the local chapter. You're part of the state as well as the national, as we were talking about just a minute ago. Our speaker, of course, is our president of our state chapter, Mr. Steve Peterson. Mr. Peterson is, of course, the CEO of Infinity Investments. He's the 2018 president of KRAB and also the 2018 president of NorCal CCIM. By the way, if you didn't know, Steve is also in the commercial real estate business for 15 years and been an investor and broker agent. He earned a CCIM designation, which is the highest designation in commercial real estate. With no further ado, let us bring Mr. Steve Peterson, our president of the state chapter, up with a round of applause.
Thanks, Steve. All right, appreciate it, man. How y'all doing, Sac?
Y'all can do better than that now.
How y'all doing, Sac? So before I get into this presentation about time in the real estate market, I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Sarita and Sheila and Cam was saying about the conference and the Realtist organization. So this organization stands for Democracy in Housing. A lot of us get into it because we're professionals. It's a trade organization, and you make connections in our business. That's how you make money. But it goes beyond that in terms of standing for something, especially for democracy in housing. And for black people and for underserved people, housing has always been an issue, especially in the state of California, especially in big cities where it's very expensive. So as things are continuing to be, the cost of living continue to go up, housing obviously continue to go up, as things continue to get more difficult, it's more important that we not only look at how we're operating as business people, but also how are we impacting our communities? How are we helping? Are we helping people up, or are we just making money? Now, through the Realtist organization, you understand that how you can make money by helping people, bringing people up, you know? And my business is commercial real estate, but I see very importantly that home ownership, particularly in the black community, and I'm gonna say that because we Realtists. A lot of times people are not gonna say, they don't wanna say nothing, for black this, they're just gonna generalize it. But particularly for the black community, home ownership is critical. And we at a fight right now. And we've been going back, you know what I mean? We need to go forward, right? And so the thing I wanna praise y'all here about in Sacramento is your leadership here in Sac has been very, very consistent. Since I've been involved in the organization, seeing Z, Ms. Pam, now Sheila at the leadership, the board, you guys have been handling business. So continue doing that in the name of democracy and housing. And know sometimes you might be at an event and like, why am I here? You know, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? I got clients calling me out, but it's for the cause, it's for the mission. Now, that being said, I want to talk to y'all a little bit about the market, right? How many people was doing business in 2006, 2007? All right, before the crash, all right? 2006, 2007, things was rolling. All right, everybody's making money, everybody's having a great time, you know, everything's looking up. And all of a sudden, bam, you know, we didn't hit like a traditional market cycle. We jumped off a cliff, right? And so when the market jumped off a cliff, the first thing I can remember is, shoot, half the people got out of business. I mean, probably more than half the people. I remember going to networking meetings and everybody and their mama had a real estate license or were doing loans. And almost everybody could qualify for it. Remember those days? If you had a credit score, you was in there. They wasn't checking no tax returns. They wasn't checking pay stubs. They wasn't checking credit report. You good, all right? Then things shifted up. When things shifted up, it actually created one of the biggest opportunities in our economic history, right? But a lot of us wasn't able to take advantage of that opportunity because we was over here struggling to hang on, all right? And so this topic of time in the real estate market is an important thing to understand now when the market is rolling like it is. Let's not understand this after the fact, you dig? Let's try to see what's going on right now, today, so that we can figure out how can we adjust our business. And every time I talk to a group of real estate professionals, it don't matter what your profession is. You selling, you in mortgage, you're in insurance. Everybody, I want you to look at this through the lens of an investor, okay? All of us should be investing in real estate. How many invest in real estate now? Good. Tap a hand, show the hand. Tap that up. We all ought to be doing it, okay? And if you can't do it now, put together a plan for you to get into the game, all right? So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through this presentation now. The first part of the presentation is my standard analysis, how you analyze properties. I'm gonna kind of just brush through that, right? Because I want to get to the meat and potatoes of today. And I only got 30 minutes, right, Sheila?
Yeah, only 30, but let me put that in for you.
Okay. So while she's doing that, what I always do is go over how to analyze property. So when you look at property, you got to look at, even if it's your home, you got to look at it as an investment, right? For many people, it is the largest investment you're going to make. If you're a real estate investor, your home is probably not the largest investment you're going to make, right? But for most people, it is going to be the largest investment. Unfortunately, we don't look at it like that. We just look at it as a place to live, right? But in fact, it's a very, very critical investment. So one thing, whether you're buying a single-family house to live in, whether you're buying a single-family house to rent out, whether you're buying an apartment building, a hotel, whatever, you got to understand how to analyze property, right? The biggest key to investment property now, investment versus flip. When you flip property, that is a form of investment, but you're really treated like a dealer, okay? When you sell property, buy and flip, you're dealing property. So when you're taxed like a dealer, like ordinary income. When you buy investment property, hold it for rental income. When you sell it, if you sell it like that after a few years, that's taxed at a capital gains rate. So it's taxed differently. So for the purposes, most of what I'm talking about, I want you to look at things as an investor. If I'm going to hold something for the long term for the purpose of the income that it generates. In order to do that, we got to know the numbers, all right? So I'm gonna breeze through the numbers calculation because this is critical. No matter what the market is doing, the numbers are primary. They're the main thing when you're looking at buildings, okay? Property owners who made it through the storm, who owned buildings in 2006 and still own that same building now, were able to do that because the rental income that they had coming in was able to pay the bills. Most people who lost the buildings didn't even do an analysis to see if their property could cover it. The rents could cover the expenses and the mortgage, right? So the first thing you do when you look at property, you analyze the income and expense. So that's your rents, your gross schedule rent. Your rent roll will tell you how many units are leased out, how much rent's coming in. You take away from that vacancy, and if it's a big enough building, you add other income, laundry, vending. Some buildings have billboards, whatever. That's other income. Any rental income you generate that's not from the rents, that's other income, okay? So now, you total up those numbers and you get the effective gross income, what you actually bring in. Now, from there, you start taking away operating expenses. Most new investors or most residential investors transitioning to apartments or transitioning to commercial deals or bigger residential property, leave this part out, okay? Operating expenses. This is not your mortgage, all right? Usually I see a lot of investors, they'll say, hey, my rents are this, my mortgage is Y, I'm gonna make all this money. Because they haven't looked at the operating expenses, the cost of doing business. So if you pay cash for a building, you're not gonna have a mortgage, right? You pay cash, it ain't no mortgage. You're still gonna have taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, utilities, repairs, reserves. That's your cost to operate the building. Now, when markets fluctuate, these costs are gonna fluctuate too, right? Taxes usually, that's not market driven, but let me tell you, insurance, maintenance, repairs, construction cost goes up, all these things are affected, all right? So that's why you gotta be real aware of the numbers going in, all right? So what you do, you total up your income, that gives you effective gross income, you total up your expenses, and then what you do is you take away all the expenses from your effective gross to get a very important number. That very important number is called net operating income. Now, how many of y'all heard of Carlton Sheets, No Money Down Guru? If y'all been around, if some people, some veterans up in here, you will have heard about No Money. If you ordered that course and actually looked through the course, it's an excellent course. And he talks about calculating the net operating income. And he's, for the most part, talking about single family homes. So even in a single family home or a commercial building, calculating the net operating income is critical. That's the value of the property. Now this is the money that's left over after you collect all the rents, pay all the bills, but before you pay your mortgage. All right? This is the money you use to pay your mortgage with. And this is that's the number we use to value the property. Right? Because what we do is we capitalize the income. We capitalize the income in order to determine the value of the property. Basically the value of that income stream. So in order to do that, we apply what's called a capitalization rate to the net operating income. Capitalization rate, it's a measure of value, okay? I'll give you the Webster's definition and then basically the street definition. So Webster's, the cap rate's the rate of return generated by a real estate investment property based on the annual net operating income that a property generates. Basically, it represents the percentage return you would get from a building if you paid cash and didn't have a mortgage. So the percentage return. So in other words, say I buy a building for $1 million, and my net, again, net, not gross, my net operating income, let's say, is 100 grand. So if I pay cash for that building, and after I collect my rents, pay all my bills, I got 100 grand, that's my yield, that's my return. So my cap rate's gonna be calculated by taking that 100 grand, that yield, divided by the value, the million that I purchased. What's that number, y'all? 10%. That's a 10% cap rate, all right? So you take the net operating income and you capitalize it in order to come up with a value, all right? And I'm blasting through this, that example I just went through is right here. I'm blasting through this part. It took me like 2 or 3 years. I've been in commercial real estate since 2003. It took me like 2 or 3 years to really fully grasp this point. I got other videos if you want to drill into cap rate, net operating income. Hit me up on YouTube, Infinity Investments 1. So for this purpose, I'm blasting through this. But understand, this is the blocking and tackling. This is the rebounding, whatever fundamental you want to apply to the business, all right? And just understand this, cap rates are a measurement of return. When you're buying, you want to try to get a higher cap rate. When you sell, you want to try to sell when the market cap rates are lower, meaning that investors are willing to take less of a return, all right? That's where timing the market comes into play, all right? Because you can increase the property's cash flow, you can increase the property's value by doing some physical things, but you really can't dictate the market. But what you can do, pay attention to the market and make some educated moves and plans based on what's going on, okay? Just a couple other quick terms that we use to evaluate property. Net cash flow. This is simply the cash remaining after you pay all the expenses and pay your mortgage. All right, so net operating income is before you pay your mortgage. Net cash flow after you pay your mortgage. All right, cash on cash return. This is a measurement of return. An indicator is the net cash flow divided by the total cash invested. That's going to give you a percentage. In the Bay Area right now, if you're getting anything 6 to 7% cash on cash return, you're actually doing pretty good. SAC actually is the numbers are maybe a little bit higher, but not that much higher. The market, the investment market here is really, really, really robust right now. But I would say somewhere if you're investing out here 7 to 8% cash on cash, you might be able to get. All right, back in the day, you was able to get 10%. All right, this number fluctuates based on the market. Internal rate of return, I won't go into too many details, but it's basically the total return on the initial investment on an annual basis once the property is sold. Just understand, IRR, if you hear somebody say that, that means internal rate of return. That calculates all the elements of return. In real estate, we get cash flow, but that ain't all we get. Every time we pay a mortgage down, if it's an amortized mortgage, what are we getting? Equity, principal pay down, all right? there's gonna be a tax benefit or there's gonna be tax liability. That's gonna calculate it to the return, and then hopefully we timed it right in the market, so our property's growing in value. That's another element of return, right? So just a couple key terms that we use. Now, in terms of, now I'm kind of transitioning into the market piece, because if you've got a property and you've calculated your cash on cash return, I'm gonna give you an example of, let's just say we're going to make an acquisition, right? And we're going to make an acquisition, we're trying to figure out what the cash on cash return is. That's the annual net cash flow divided by the initial investment. Let's just say this property that we identified, and for all intents and purposes, we'll say it's a 10-unit building in Sacramento. We identified that this 10-unit building nets us $15,000 a year. That's what we net, $15,000 a year, a little bit over $1,000 a month, right? Probably like $1,200, something like that. And it took us, our initial investment was $100,000 down. Now, in today's prices, we ain't getting no 10-unit deal with $100,000 in Sacramento right now. I know most stuff in Sacramento is at $100,000 a door-ish or more, right? But let's just, example sake. So, if you earn $15,000 a year on your $100,000 investment, what percentage return is that? Real easy. 15, it's right up there. So now, we bought a building, we're looking at this building, we said 15%, that's dynamite, we hopping on it, right? We bought this building. Now, market's going up, right? You got any clients you sold a building to a couple years ago, market's going up? If they bought it 2 or 3 years ago, their equity's way up. I meet with a guy at 3 o'clock, I sold him a building 2 years ago, his property value is going way up, so we're gonna have a discussion about what he should do. Here's what we're gonna discuss. So I say, well, look, when you bought this property, you were making, okay, in this past example, you were making 15% on your cash, right? How's your equity doing? Anybody heard return on equity is the term now I'm gonna look at. So now your property's grown in value. So your 100 G's in cash investment has now, let's just say, turned into 300,000 of equity. So if I was to sell this property, I'll net 300 grand, right? So the building's yielding the same 15 though. So what is that? So we're making 15% on our cash, which is outstanding. However, on our equity, the 300 grand, what are we making? We're only making 5%. So if I sit down with this client and say, all right, well, you know, what's going on? The market shot up, you know, you want to keep your money moving, you want to sit on it, what you want to do? Well, he said, well, Steve, you're the expert, what you think we should do? Well, let's use some mathematical formulas to help us out, right? Market's hot, which means you probably can sell quick, but you gotta buy in a hot market, not easy. And you have to do what's called a 1031 tax deferred exchange, which has some specific timelines. You got 45 days to identify a property, then you got 180 days to close on a property. There's some specifics about the cash. You gotta spend all the cash, you have to replace the debt. So it's not that easy, but it's possible, right? So if we say, all right, well look, let's analyze the market. We know that you're only making you're making 15% on your cash, but your cash tripled up. So your equity only making 5%. So what can we do with that 300 G's? Let's say we looked at the market, we've analyzed the market, we said, well, if we sold this property, right, take 300, do the sale and do a 1031 exchange, we can take our 300,000 and apply it to another property. And in our analysis, let's just say we said, well, if we did this, we think we can find a property that would generate a 10% cash on cash. A lot lower than when we bought previously. When we bought previously, our cash was yielding 15%, right? Our equity is only yielding 5%. So we sell, do a 1031 exchange, we find a new property. But because the market has heated up, our return is lower. It's only 10%. Here's the thing though. It's 10% on a higher number. It's 10% on 300 grand, not 100,000, right? So even if I sell and do this exchange in an escalating market, I can still come out money ahead, because if I'm making only 10%, but I'm making it on 300,000, what's my net? So what do we effectively do? Double our cash flow. This is why understanding the real estate market is key. Now I'm gonna get into the meat and potatoes. How much longer we got, Sheila?
You got about another 15 minutes?
Perfect. Okay, there's this book. All right, so as they said, I'm the president of NorCal CCIM, and we have a book club. We meet every second Tuesday, and before we go into the brunt of the meeting, as a book of the month. This was the book of the month a couple months ago. I've read this book now twice. I did a seminar I do a seminar every month in Oakland. I did a seminar on this. I did a webinar on this. And I'm here today talking to y'all about this. Because this book impacted my life that much. Because the guy, Craig Hall, is the author, Timing the Real Estate Market. If you are a real estate agent, real estate broker, real estate investor, real estate anything, please get this book. I think I paid $12 on Amazon or whatever it was. Please get this book. The author, Craig Hall, began buying properties in the 60s. And he's seen about, I think we were saying he's seen about 4 or 5 different severe market cycles, all right? So this is, and my PowerPoint skills is not as polished as maybe my speaking skills is, so just bear with me on this. Here is a diagram of the real estate market cycle. All I did just took it straight out the book, and you can find this diagram in the book, okay? Let me just come up here a little bit. So the beginning of the cycle starts here, it shoots up, top of the cycle, and then traditionally, there's a slow movement down. Now y'all know 2007, 2008, bam. It wasn't no slow movement, it was a clip. Traditionally, you're gonna have slow movement down, okay? Then there's gonna be a trough. This is what they call the trough. This is the peak, this is the trough, right? So, you know, kind of like a valley, trough, valley, same thing. And then it comes up again, and it goes down again. This is how real estate works, y'all, right? Real estate don't always go up. It don't always go down. Now, the thing is, when we're in a hot market like this, the clients, you, most people, we caught up in the emotion, we think it's always going up. Then when it crashed, right, we think it's always going down. I can't tell you how many people I was trying to pitch fourplexes in East Oakland or West Oakland. Right now, East Oakland, it's a fourplex, it's several fourplexes over $1 million in East Oakland, where you gotta have your head on the swivel at all times. West Oakland even more. I was pitching deals, and I sold a couple, but I should have sold way more. People was telling me, I don't want this 150,000 fourplex in West Oakland. Right? Oh, because the market's gonna keep going down, right? That was the time to buy. That was the time to buy. This is what the real estate market does. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It might go sideways, but it doesn't stay the same forever. If there's the one thing you take from this, is it don't stay the same forever. What he talks about in the book, and this is, if there's one thing you take away from this talk, is understanding the 7 major trends impacting real estate cycles. 7 major trends impacting real estate cycles. The first three are national trends. This is inflation, interest rates, flow of funds into real estate. So when we talked about the old market, how was interest rates at that time? A little bit higher than they are now, but historically still pretty low. How about flow of funds into the real estate market? You got 700 credit score? What you need, $1 million? What you need, 1.2, 1.3? Here you go. And then they took that, packaged it off, and sold to Wall Street. So the flow of funds was outrageous. It was way beyond normal. It was abnormal. It was crazy. All right? And what he says in the book is sometimes the bigger they are, the harder they fall concept. The stronger the market growth is, the stronger the market boom is, usually the stronger the market bust is. All right? That's why we all need to be on our toes right now. Because we've been seeing some amazing growth the last 3 to 5 years, right? So the first 3 things, national level. We all affected by this, guys. Now, inflation is something we have in the last, I'm 36. I really haven't had to deal with this as much in my time. You know what I mean? I know past generations have really, in the 70s and 80s, people really had to deal with inflation. Interest rates, and inflation typically will boost interest rates up. Interest rates was 18, 20% back in the day, right? It was lines at the gas station, right? I remember when I started driving, gas was like $1.50, you know what I mean? And it got up to the point where it was $4-something, and it dropped back down, and we really haven't had to deal with inflation yet. And inflation can be a temporary good thing for real estate values, but long term, if people can't pay their rent, they can't pay their mortgage because they got to pay eggs, milk, baby diapers, whatever they're buying, that's going to affect them, right? And these 3 trends, they affect us in California, they affect us in Texas, they affect us in New York, they affect us everywhere. Really, at the end of the day, They affected in China, England, and Ghana, because it's a worldwide economy now. But typically, I mean, just specifically, those three trends are national. So we have to follow these three trends. I just was telling Tanisha, I appreciate she sends out an email with market updates, and I pay attention to those emails and see them because, you know, just seeing what's going on in the market. We got to be aware of interest rates, inflation, and flow of funds into real estate. All right. The four other trends: job growth, in-or-out migration, path of progress, and new construction. These are local trends. All right, this is specific to your city, county, area, neighborhood, right? And I say neighborhood is like, for instance, in Oakland, I might be in Deep East Oakland, somewhere versus, let's say, West Oakland by the port. The economic activity in West Oakland is way different than it is in East, same city, but the economic activity may be different. So it's citywide, but it's neighborhood-wise. You know, and y'all all know this, especially in residential. You know, you work in your farm, you know how it is, neighborhood to neighborhood, right? So we gotta figure out where job growth is at. Right now, job growth numbers been like at all-time highs and, you know, recent highs in, you know, California, the Bay Area, Sacramento. Everybody's got jobs, everything's rolling, right? At least so to speak. At least that's what's happening now. Then there's something called in or out migration. In the Bay Area, we have a big, both of these. And we have people moving in and we got people moving out. What's happening is people with higher incomes are moving in from all over the world. They're coming for tech jobs, they're coming for opportunity. And then we got people with lower to moderate income being pushed out because they can't afford it, right? Bay Area is a very unique place in that sense. It's almost like a bubble in its own. Not a bubble like it's too inflated, but it's in its own world kind of. Because it's very unique. You got three major cities in one area, they all got different things going on. So while you got all these folks from all over the world, when I meet people in Oakland, most people I meet from Oakland, in Oakland, are not from Oakland anymore. Unless I'm doing something, like I'm coaching football, I go out there, everybody from Oakland out there. But I'll go to the coffee shop, or I go meet somebody downtown, and everybody's from everywhere else, right? They're coming in. There's also people coming out. Now, if you go to, I remember I was doing deals in Ohio, a city like Dayton, Ohio, everybody was moving out. Now, it's not a knock on Dayton. It's just at that time, late 2000s, everybody was moving out of Dayton. There was no jobs. So they was getting up out of Dodge. And in the Rust Belt states, that's typically the Midwest, that's been the trend. However, that's actually shifting. Detroit, by the way, is a hot market if you ain't know. And then nobody want to touch Detroit 5 years ago. Had you bought something in a decent area of Detroit, especially downtown Detroit, you're winning right now. But the trend has been out migration from the Rust Belt states, in migration to the southeast and southwestern states, right? And in the Bay Area, in California, we have our own unique thing. The next thing is path of progress. Where development happening, right? Are they building a light rail somewhere? Are they building a school somewhere? Whatever. And then last, new construction. How much new construction is going on? A big part of Sacramento was the #1 housing market in the good times. It was also either #1 or close to #1 foreclosure market. All right, we did built, right? Built too much, all right? And when an area is overbuilt, that's when, you know, values start going down, and that's when there's some great buying opportunities if you are located in the right area. So these 7 trends is what we need to pay attention to. All right, I'm gonna blast through these other slides. I wanted to stick with this because we have to, as professionals, we have to be up on this stuff, y'all. All right? No, there is no crystal ball. The point to his book is there is no crystal ball to what's going to happen to the market. All right? So don't get caught up in that one economist says this, one economist says something else. The key is to look at trends and operate on fundamentals. Now, as he's saying, okay, there are some strategies. All right, the first strategy is buy when there's blood on the streets. That's the contrarian strategy. That's counter-cyclical. It's basically you buy when others are selling out of fear and desperation. And he quotes Warren Buffett here. He says, be fearful when people are greedy, and be greedy when people are fearful. And basically you buy before the real estate market begins to improve. This is people who are buying in 2009 and 2010. They are contrarian investors, all right? The next strategy is buy when prices are going up, the momentum strategy. All right, this is buy once there's clear that the real estate market is starting to recover from the low point of the cycle. And this lets the market upward momentum carry the price higher in combination with improvements you make to the property, right? The momentum strategy can be applied to any real estate class, single family homes, apartments, industrial, whatever. Now, what he says here, also must be prepared to sell quickly before the down cycle, all right? So this is like people who are buying in 2012 and all, right? Market kind of recovers, start rolling up, and then they start buying. So both strategies can work, and you can advise your clients kind of both ways, right? 5 minutes, thank you. And then, and I say this to you, now we're talking investments, okay? A lot of y'all are gonna be dealing with clients that are buying a home. It's a little bit different calculation. So you know how we did the income and expense calculation for the investment property? What you may wanna do with your client is do their income and expense situation personally to analyze buying or selling. We all wanna sell people properties. Sometimes it's not the right time for them to buy in their own personal situation. First, we look at their situation. If it is time to buy, now we gotta look at the market, right? You know what I mean? And then can make this one critical analysis. Buying versus renting. You know it's expensive to buy right now, but it's also expensive to rent right now, right? If you're ready to plant your feet down, start a family, or just say, I'm here, I ain't moving nowhere, then it's probably best to buy, right? And even when the market is going up like this, just know that if we're getting people in the properties now, and at NARAB, the Realtist organization, we are all about getting folks in the property, especially black folks in the homes. That's our mission. We have this 2 in 5 initiative, 2 million additional black homeowners in 5 years that started in 2016. But we gotta do it responsibly. Because if they buy the property and they lose it, now it's even worse. And they mess their credit off, they don't wanna ever touch real estate again, and they blaming you because you showed them that property. So what you have to be aware with them is say, hey, look, markets go up, markets go down. We're making this purchase based on your income expense, your ability to be able to afford, right? Now, another thing to think about, selling real estate is not necessarily a bad thing, you know? And some people don't want to sell nothing. I understand it, but sometimes you gotta sell. And when your investments, particularly, what he says is everything is for sale at the right price and potentially at the right time, right? Because it's a business. If you want to sell, some keys to remember. It's important to start the sale during the upward cycle and not get greedy trying to wait for the highest price point. And not get greedy waiting for the highest price point, because we don't have that crystal ball. We don't know exactly where that's going to be. But we can analyze, okay, we're in an upswing right now. If you're thinking of selling, some people may need to relocate their house. They may get a job transfer. Or let's say you have a building. Like we did the analysis. All right, it grew. Maybe I should sell and I can increase my cash flow. The key is don't try to wait to the highest possible point, because you don't know that. You will only know it's the highest possible point once it starts coming down. And that ain't the time to sell. Okay, what he says, don't get carried away with the success and forget the basics. You know why? Because when your $100,000 cash goes to $300,000 equity, all of a sudden you're a genius. All of a sudden you know what you're talking about, man. You ain't nobody tell me nothing. Don't believe your own press or what your spouse or mother, baby mama, wife, husband, your partner's name, or CNN. Don't get caught up in the hype about how great and smart you are, about how great this market is. He says, humility is an investor's best friend. Humility is a homeowner's best friend. Don't forget the basics of the game. Trend investing, like he says here, trend investing does not work forever, right? We got to time it. That's why you say time the market. And it's not a perfect science, but you got some trends and some indicators to look at. And when he says good times do not last forever, be careful to either get out in time or at least have your debt in a comfortable shape so you can ride out the storm. So our clients who was in 2006 buying and who made it out was because they actually could afford that house, or because their building actually could afford the mortgage. We have a responsibility as real estate professionals, and particularly as realtors, to look after our clients as if their money was ours, to give them that fiduciary responsibility, thus meaning we gotta be up on what's going on in the market. And we can't get caught up in the rah-rah or the press, you know what I'm saying? We gotta stay drilled in. These 7 trends I just gave y'all, from this book, we got to stay drilled in and dialed into that, because markets shift. It don't stay like this all the time. And when it's good like this, that's when it's time to start tucking away a couple of dollars over here and preparing your business strategy. Okay, what am I going to do when it adjusts? Okay, preparing your clients. Don't just slam them into deals. Let them know, hey, we're making this deal. We're going to make this work, but it's got to be responsible. You got to be prepared to ride out the storm. And if you do, here's the benefits. That's our responsibility, and we can do it. And you know what? We make a ton of money doing it. When the market goes down, that's actually when it's the best buying opportunity, as we just shows you. That's the best time to buy. That's the best time to be active. You know what I mean? You might need to get your REO accounts up, or you just might have to have a different prospect. Maybe you got to work buyers a little bit more than you work listings. Okay, maybe you got to actually prospect and cold call. How about that? You know, I know with all this technology and stuff like that, we done forgot about dialing for dollars. But you have to be prepared to adjust your strategy, and you have to be prepared as a professional to communicate that to everyone else, to the consumers and to the investors that you're serving. And we as realtors, we got to do that at a higher level to the best of our ability and with absolute integrity. So I want to thank y'all out. I really appreciate you, and let's go make sure that we go out and we stand for democracy in housing. Thank you very much.
Any questions that you have for Steve? Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
How do we get a copy of the list of the books that you guys read?
Make sure I will put you on the list of the book club. Oh, on that note, so we're meeting this Tuesday in Oakland. We're going to be reading this book. It's written by a black woman. It's called Edge of Chaos. Edge of Chaos. And it's an economic book. She goes, man, the sister is deep. So Edge of Chaos. I'm over there on my phone. I'll make sure I'll get you her name. My phone is on Facebook Live right now. But the book is Edge of Chaos. Okay, Edge of Chaos. And for anybody who's interested in commercial real estate, oh, yes.
Dambisha Moyle.
Dambisha Moyle, thank you. Google her or check her out on YouTube and read that book. Because it's kind of blowing my mind right now. Especially that she wrote this book kind of before what's going on right now. And kind of, well, you see when you read the book. So read that book. We meet in Sequoia Country Club in Oakland every second Tuesday. However, CCIM has a Sacramento chapter. And they're going to be doing some events here in Sacramento. So it's my goal to keep you guys tapped into what's going on commercial real estate wise in Sac. So I will get the information to your leaders about any commercial real estate events, education that you can tap into here in Sacramento. And anybody who's interested in investment property or commercial real estate, be around the CCIM organization. Go to ccim.com, look at the education they have. It literally is second to none. And they have scholarships available for minorities to take classes. They really put their money where their mouth is at in terms of diversity. A lot of companies talk about it. CCIM actually puts their money where their mouth is at. So if commercial investment properties is something that you're interested in, get at me, but check out CCIM, and then I'll stay contact with you, Z, and Sheila about any events that's happening up here. And it's important, even if you don't plan to sell commercial real estate, it's important for you to know what's going on, especially development-wise, because that will affect your residential properties. That will affect the neighborhoods that you work in. All right, y'all. Thank y'all. I'll be around.
Let's give our president of the KRAB another round of applause. I'm going to do the political update very quickly here, and then we're going to have Veronica Nelson come up and talk to you about the backpack drive. I want to call it a black drive. I don't know why. So. How many are going to the KRAB legislation day? Well, everybody should be up here with their hands up. I mean, where y'all gonna be on August the 22nd to the 23rd? You should be at legislation day. All right.
When is it?
When is it again?
What is it?
What is it? Legislation day. You know what that is. That's where you can basically put out your political views and things of this nature. Find out what's happening, why KRAB is there, and for democracy of housing. Now, we're all interested in that, aren't we?
Yes.
All right. Just wanted to make sure. I thought maybe I was missing something. But let's see again, another show of hands on how many people are going to be there. Well, I think I got maybe one or two more people, So anyway, hopefully that you're going to be represented there on that Wednesday, 12 noon at the Capitol Hill. Basically, we'll have a briefing and orientation, and during that time at the Embassy Suites at the Riverfront Promenade there at 100 Capitol Mall. Also that evening, Sandra Dees will be hosting and having the mixer. For those that don't know Sandra Dees, she's been a long-time business person in the Sacramento area. They do serve barbecue and other delightful treats also. So with that, and then Thursday, we're going to have the pre-Hill meeting. We may have a couple other events coming up, but as soon as we get that, we'll make sure that we get that out to you in your email. And hopefully, if you haven't done your email, make sure that we have it up at the front at that same time. Yes, Madam President.
So the chair of the legislative committee is asking that if you are going to attend, please RSVP. So you've probably got an email that says something about Legislative Day. Make sure you go onto that link, go to the Eventbrite, and RSVP. Very important. They're trying to make sure that they accommodate everyone. They order enough food for the mixer, but even for that day, we're going to have some briefings. So
exactly. If you haven't done it, I've already done it myself. They do have, if you want to stay at the hotel, they do have hotel rates. I think the double occupancy is only $229, so good prices and everything else. But you need to be there to make sure that our voices are heard. That's all I have at this present time, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay, so before we go into all the events we have coming up, there are a couple things I want to do. So the first thing is, I think it's important to know that we as realtors are working with each other, right? Yeah. But sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we come to the meetings, we don't know if, maybe one or two other people, or two people in the group, or maybe a handful are the only ones getting the referrals. So I'm going to ask, if you've gotten a referral since the last couple meetings, please stand if you got a referral from someone in the group.
All right.
I just want you to look around, and I want you to know that, what, it's not just these people. When you come here, I want you to network. I want us to know who each other are. So really quick, for sake of time, if you are a real estate agent, and I do this sometimes, but if you're a real estate agent or broker, please stand. I want to see how many real estate professionals we have. Look around. These are your real estate professionals that are part of the Realtist. So if you're a loan officer, if you're any other industry, finance, insurance, here are your professionals. Thank you.
I need all your referrals.
Send them your referrals. Okay, we got loan officers. Loan officers in the house. Please stand. As much as they need you. These people are getting these deals closed, and I've heard most of you are doing them in under 21 days now, right? So we figured out we're not worried about anything that's going to slow up our loans. We're getting it done. So here are loan professionals, insurance agents. Peyton, I knew that. So Peyton's in the house. Peyton is first time. Any other first time folks here? Please stand. What's your name?
How everybody doing? My name is DJ Dawson. I'm a real estate investor, local Sacramento. I purchased my first house September 2017.
All right.
It's exciting to see a lot of African American minority people here. Somebody like myself, I'm from Vallejo, California. I didn't grow up around doctors. I didn't grow up around lawyers. I didn't grow up around millionaires. So I don't know people in my circle like that. So I'm putting myself out there now, getting to meet people like yourselves, professionals, and it's inspiring to see people in all these different industries of real estate. So I'm excited to branch out and get to know a lot of you people.
All right.
Hi, my name is Sheila, and I am the president of the Sacramento Realtist. I'm so happy to see all y'all here. Jermon is here. Jermon is our appraiser. Do we have any other appraisers here? He's our
appraiser. The go-to appraiser.
Text me and say, hey, do you know someone who can do appraisals? 9 times out of 10, you're going to get Jermon's name. He's great. He's awesome.
You know what, too? I just got a call yesterday from someone who called me and she wanted to know the value of her home, and I told her, I'll tell you for free if you want to know, but if you want me to come out, then that's going to cost you. So, you know, I do stuff like that for free. You know, it's no big deal to just kind of look it up. It was some lady called me. You people call me from you.
You get referrals. Hey, listen, we're trying to make a living here, right? Yeah. So you go ahead and charge them what you got to charge them, but you know, we're trying to make a living. Did I leave anyone out? We got title. Michelle is always here. Michelle. And we got Clifton, property management.
Yeah, property management. So your business don't need me. And property management, rentals have changed. Yeah. The whole, everything out there, the world out there has changed. So if your investors are thinking they could do it all on their own, times have changed.
Right.
Okay?
Wait a minute, tell them about your referral fee.
So I do have a program, especially for the realtors, okay? That if you give me a referral, okay, I'll give you $250 for that referral if I sign that referral up for their first year of management, okay? If you give me 4 referrals, you go up to 400.
What?
Okay, for each referral.
Wow.
So if I sign them up, bring them to me, and then it'll be well worth their time. Things have changed. You know, NHDs have to be given now. That just changed. Okay, and so and there's it causes problems, liability issues. What's that? Natural hazard disclosures.
Yeah.
They used to only be done in sales. Now have to be done with all that.
Benefits of being a realtist? You can make some money off of him. Just by sitting there. Oh, you got a question?
Got cards back here at Frankfurt.
No, so you the first time visitor?
Oh, yes.
My name is Tyrone Nevins, and I'm on a different angle on this. I'm actually in the construction part of it. So we will do the work when you're flipping your houses, flipping your apartment complexes. I'm wearing a new hat. Some people know me on the political side, but one of my hats is construction. I'm actually a construction manager, and some of the general contractors I'm working with, we do it fast and quick and keep on rolling so that you all make money and we make money.
There it is.
Financial services.
I'm Les Holmes with Holmes Financial, and I specialize in retirement planning and wealth management. But this is the key. He said something that I've been around for a while, 2001, 2007, 8, 9, and now. I'm going to tell you now, he was absolutely right. It goes in cycles. You're making money now. If you don't set it aside, that's the struggle. So I'm in the business. Matter of fact, I've been working with Peyton. He's in the business. We're both here to help you out. Holmes Financial.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Les has been around, and Les said something to me years ago, and it was a few years ago, and I had a great year in real estate. And he said, don't wait until you start to have a bad year to call me, right? So give Les a call. If you're doing good now, you want to keep that. You want to keep your money growing. So give him a call. He'll help you out. And
I want to introduce myself. I can't let my shirt go. My name is Yvonne Clark, and I'm a former United States Army officer. And I'm very happy to be here. Very pleased to see everyone in the building. My specialty, obviously, are my veterans, since 90% of them in the state don't use their benefits. And, you know, they're one of our most valued citizens. And so if you have any kind of military VA type questions that you need answered, I can help you. I'm pretty versed. Also, I still hold an ID, so I have access to bases. So if you have any questions or you need me for anything, I'm Yvonne Clark.
Are you a loan officer?
I'm a realtor.
Oh.
West Century 21.
And you're gonna be a realtist, right?
Yes.
I want to say, on behalf of all of us, thank you for your service.
And thank you for your service. Clap it up, y'all. Thank you for your service.
And I would also like to meet with you so that I can shop at the BX and go to the commissary. Okay, so next, before I forget, this is very important. You guys know that this is our last week for the backpack drive. And I don't know how many of you have either donated money or brought in a backpack or supplies, but I'm gonna bring Veronica up so she can give us an update on where we are with that.
The center stage?
I guess it's not center.
I want to be on center stage. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the day that we would collect our backpacks and be able to turn them in. However, I'd like you all to turn to the back. We're lacking a little back there. Last year our goal was 50. This year we wanted to exceed that goal. I know a lot of people have been out of town, been on vacations, been doing summer stuff, and you know, we've had a great time, but it's time for us to come back, get serious. This is our one community outreach for the year. We give those backpacks to the children at St. John's Community Center, and that's a center where women, it's a shelter for women and children. So if you haven't brought your backpack today, if you haven't given money online or put it in my hand, we need you to step up. We need everybody, every office. So if everyone in here right now gave 2 backpacks, we would exceed our 50. So see me, see Sarita. We need to get your money or your backpack. I'll go shopping tomorrow, Saturday. On Monday, I need 50 backpacks. So I need you all to help me meet our goal. All right?
All right, let's do it.
10 more coming in the door right now.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
10 more coming in the door right now.
Oh, we got 10 more. I saw him get up. I'm like, where's Cliff going? Okay, so we have some, oh, Pam making a rain. She's backpack. We have members that still haven't received their certificate for the year. And so, hey.
So this is what you have for
That's from the Q?
yeah, all field too.
That's from the Q, dog. Okay, so, we have certificates for members that haven't been given out, and we had, you guys, we did really, really good this year. I'm so proud that we're growing as an organization. I think we're gonna continue to grow. I will be reaching out to each and every person who is a member, and I'm gonna be getting feedback from you on how we can better serve you, so that even next year, I can get you more involved, and we can do better, and that's the goal. But for now, Natalie, I saw Natalie. Natalie Riggins. Woo, come on down. Thank you.
Y'all gotta come down with style now.
Okay,
Do it up here.
Lisa Murray. Come on down, girl. Lisa is such a beautiful person. I love you, girl. Thank you. I'm glad you're a member. Colby Bell. There you go. Thank you. Michelle Kloss. Michelle's been a member for years. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle, you donated $50 online, right, for the backpacks? Thank you. Yvonne Nelson. Is Renee here? No. And Raymond's not here. Okay, that is it. Everybody else should have their certificate. If you haven't received your certificate and you joined as a member, let me know. If I missed you for some reason, I apologize. Also, just want to go over some things that I want you to mark on your calendars. Make sure you save the date on your calendars. Upcoming events. Stephen T. talked about the KREB Legislative Day. Make sure you get the 22nd and 23rd on your calendar, and we'll send out more information about those events. The state conference is coming up. It's going to be in Oakland.
Hey!
So it's going to be in Oaktown. It's October 24th through the 26th. So stay tuned. We'll get you more information on that. Also, the monthly SAR meetings. We need volunteers. We need people to help us out when we go to those SAR meetings to make sure the Realtist is being represented. Just about 1 or 2 people each month, and they're held every first Tuesday? Every first Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Either see Juan or Stephen T, and then they'll let you know, where they can use you. But, it's a great opportunity to network. There are usually, a couple hundred people there?
Yes.
A minimum of 200 people plus. Huh? No, it's 9 o'clock every second Tuesday. First Tuesday. 9 o'clock every first Tuesday at the SAR building on Howe. So Stephen T or Juan, they'll coordinate that. Luxury home tour. Do we have an update?
But we're still waiting for the BMW place to get their business rebuilt. It's going through still some remodeling, but they said 2 weeks, but I think it's going to be a little bit longer than 2 weeks.
Okay, so you guys just
But
stay
it's in the
tuned.
works. It's definitely in the works.
Yeah, so this is going to be huge for us, and our huge sponsor, the person that's going to, the company is helping us put it on is BMW. So we're going to put on a big luxury home tour with BMW. Okay. The community housing fair, just stay tuned. We got more information coming to you, so we'll be putting that on. We're in the planning phase. And then also, before the year ends, we do plan to do a membership appreciation celebration. So that's it. Now, any introductions? So all the new members have already, have been introduced, and first-time attendees, right? Anyone else get left out? Okay. All right. Any announcements? So any homes on the market? You got any buyers? Any listings? Anything that you want to announce? Stephen?
I've got a really nice house off of Dewey and Fruit Bridge. It's about 1,200 square feet. It's going for $235. It was just painted inside, putting new carpet and everything else. Great opportunity for someone looking for a home. It probably may not go FHA, but it can go conventional.
Steve?
I have a very interesting listing. I talked about this listing comes about. He, for a variety of reasons, does not want us to put the property on residential MLS nor commercial LoopNet or CoStar. So we are marketing this property through our networks. This is it's in Houston, so I've co-brokered with one of the realtors in Houston. And I've actually, my office and her office, Task Realty Group out of Houston, we've already closed one deal this year. When you talk about being a part of an organization, actually getting some stuff done, now we're working on 31 years, 2.7 million is the price, 8% cap rate. Now, the seller is willing to carry financing in the second position, so somebody could probably get in with 10% down, maybe 15% down if they've got the ability to get finance. And the property's cash flow, I was even looking at maybe trying to do something with it because it's condominiums. And we're thinking about maybe, I was talking to another investor yesterday about going in together, buying them, and then leasing them out with an option to buy to the homeowners to help them get into a home. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different options on this. This is not on the market. It is available, and if you're a broker and you bring a client, we can actually split up the commission. It's a co-brokerage deal, and there is a buy-side fee, so of 2%, 2.7 million. Let's get some money.
Sarita?
Steve made me think of something. I have a listing coming up in Davis, and it's a 5-bedroom, but I sold one a couple years ago that was a 5-bedroom, and they're leasing them out to the students for $2,000 a room. So now you got me thinking about the a room. 2,000.
Two bands.
Yeah, they're paying $2,000 a room in Davis to students because the housing is hard to find housing there. So if you have an investor, I mean, I just thought about that because Steve was talking about that. So, but it'll be coming up in 2 weeks. They're working on the repairs now.
That's like Airbnb or something.
It's $775.
It is. Right. Anyone else? Go ahead.
My name is Kimberly, and I'm a newish realtor since March. And I have a buyer couple. We're looking for a home in Arden Arcade, Carmichael, for around $350,000 to $400,000. On they want a little bit of land, so about 1/4 of an acre. I just sold one.
Yes, that's why we talking.
Hello, Realtist. How are you? I'm Val, and I have a buyer. And she is looking for a halfplex. We're looking in the Thomas or in the South area. Got a low price point, that really competitive price point of about $195. So I'm hoping that someone can help me, off the market, on the market, it doesn't matter. If you have anything, please let me know.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Flechette from Sac Cultural Hub. I have two announcements. One, we are having our 10th year anniversary Exceptional Women of Color Conference.
Right.
Coming up on Saturday, October 6th. We've already selected our honorees. We're going to be announcing our keynote speaker very soon. It is on the sacculturalhub.com website. So if you are interested in being an exhibitor or a sponsor, please hit me up. You can email me at contact@sacculturalhub.com. You can go to our website. You can email me from there. We do have sponsorships and exhibitorships available. Also, I want to make sure that for those of you who don't know me, you didn't make it to the NARAB conference. I was actually there. We covered it as Black Media News Outlet. And we just had some great opportunities to do some great interviews. One with the gubernatorial candidate, Stacey Abrams. So I want to encourage everyone, if I haven't tagged you already or sent you an email, we're going to be sending an e-blast out with our full coverage. We did an article. It's posted on the Sac Cultural Hub website. It's a very thorough article. It's long. You know, during your spare time, leisure time you may not have, or make time to read this article, because we link out to a lot of important information that could be very beneficial to you. Like people were saying before, a lot of great historical information was uncovered that I had never known before myself at this convention, and I feel like every Black person should know it. I feel like it should be taught in school curriculums, at the high school level, or even at the junior high school level. So we are going to include this important information with photos in our fall 2018 issue of the Hub magazine. So if you're not a subscriber, you can subscribe today online. Okay, so thanks for your attention, and I hope you see me about Ewok.
Bye now.
Okay, so I'm gonna have Stephen T come up and pray us out. And you guys, I really appreciate you all coming out today. We had a great speaker. Steve Peterson was giving another hand. From Oakland, he's our state president, KRAP state president. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate you coming in and blessing us. Ready?
Always ready.
All right, Pastor Webb.
Well.
Let us all bow our heads. Our dearly beloved Father, one is so merciful and all forgiving. We are so thankful to Heavenly Father for this time and for this day. We pray, Heavenly Father, you continue to bless the Realtist, Heavenly Father, that we continue to do our work in democracy for housing. Continue to give us the tools that we need, Heavenly Father, to make this accomplishment happen. We ask for these things as we go to our various different locations, dear Heavenly Father. Make sure that there's no harm or danger. We ask for these things in Jesus Christ's name. Let us all say,
Amen. All right, you guys. Have a great